Chosen one. Pause for a moment. This is not noise, not coincidence, not just another video passing by. This is a divine interruption. Heaven has carved out space in your timeline to deliver a word straight to you. Can you feel it? The pull that sets you apart. The whisper no one else seems to hear. The stirring deep inside that refuses to let you blend in. There were times you wondered why your life seemed heavier than others. Times you stood in a crowded room yet felt like you belonged elsewhere. The rejections, the misunderstandings, the moments of being overlooked. None of it came to destroy you. It came to mark you. Picture a pillar of fire blazing in the desert night. The winds howl. The sand shifts. But the fire burns on, guiding those who wander. That is you. The more the storm rages, the brighter your light shines. The fire is not just for you, it is a signpost for others who have lost their way. There was once a young woman who felt invisible. She endured a long season of waiting, her work stagnant, her prayers seemingly unanswered. At one point, she whispered, "Maybe God has forgotten me." But every slow day was shaping her into someone who could carry others. Her silence became training. Her loneliness became oil for compassion. And when her season shifted, she realized she had been chosen all along. Her story is not far from yours. Why has the enemy tried so hard to silence you? Because your voice carries fire. Why have you faced resistance where others walked easily? Because your calling is heavier, your destiny costlier. You are not a grain of sand swept by the wind. You are a seed in the hand of the sower, destined to break ground in the right season. The Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." This is not written for the comfortable. It is a command for the restless, the confused, the ones like you who have been asking, "What now?" Trust in the darkness is the first step to seeing dawn. Let me speak plainly. This is your call to act, not for views, not for numbers, but for destiny. If this word stirs your spirit, share it, so another chosen one might be awakened. Leave a comment below to seal your agreement. Subscribe, so you remain connected to the stream of what heaven is releasing in this hour. Simple actions, but obedience always opens doors. I see the image of a silversmith holding metal in the furnace. He does not pull it out until he can see his reflection in it. That is what God is doing with you. The fire is not to destroy you, but to refine you until His likeness shines in you. You are not here by mistake. The restlessness in your soul, the tears that no one else knows, the pull to live differently, these are all confirmations. This is heaven's invitation to you. If this word pierces your heart, type the number 777 inches, the comments, as a prophetic sign that you receive it. 7 is the number of completion, and something is being completed in you right now. Chosen one. Lean in a little closer. Do you notice how your heart responds when heaven speaks directly to you? That stirring is not random. It is confirmation that your spirit recognizes its source. When God speaks, something inside of you rises. Because deep calls unto deep. Think of the shepherd who counts his sheep at night, even if 99 are safe. His heart aches for the one that is missing. You are that one God refuses to leave behind. This message is His way of reaching for you, of pulling you back into His arms when you felt unseen. Your journey has not been wasted. Every delay, every silent night, every unanswered prayer has been part of a greater rhythm. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Olive oil flows only when the olive is crushed. In the same way, what has pressed you has prepared you. The world may have called you too much or not enough, but heaven calls you chosen. That is why this word is in your hands right now. You were meant to hear it, to rise, to step forward without fear. Lift your eyes from the dust of yesterday. A new chapter is already opening, and your obedience today is the key to unlocking it. Do not let hesitation close the door God has opened. If your spirit says yes, then seal it boldly. Type 777 inches. The comments as your prophetic declaration that you choose alignment with this word. Let heaven see your faith. Even in this small act of courage, you may not remember the beginning, but heaven does. Long before you took your first breath, you were already known. Long before you had a name spoken over you by family, God whispered His own name over your life. You were marked in the unseen before you ever arrived in the scene. That is why your life has always carried a sense of difference. Think of a seed hidden deep in the earth. For weeks, maybe months, nothing appears. On the surface, it looks dead, forgotten, but under the soil, life is forming. Roots stretch quietly. Structure builds silently. And then one day the first green blade pierces through. People only notice when it emerges. But heaven has been watching the whole time. That is your story. Even in your silent seasons, you were growing. There is a reason you never fully fit in. When others seemed comfortable blending in, you felt restless. When others celebrated temporary wins, you found yourself longing for something eternal. You were never designed to be satisfied with surface-level living. There is eternity written in your spirit. And that is why nothing ordinary could ever satisfy you. The writings of David remind us in the Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Consider what that means. Every detail, every year, every path was already seen. Your existence is not the result of chance, but of choice, God's choice. You were not a last-minute idea or an afterthought. You were intentional, planned, and set apart. There was once a young boy who spent years feeling invisible in his own household. He was often overlooked, treated as unimportant, left on the sidelines. Yet in time, he discovered that the very isolation he resented was the ground where his identity grew strongest. He learned to listen to the quiet voice of God when no one else was watching. Years later, when doors opened, his foundation was so strong that nothing could move him. His story reminds us, the hidden years are holy years. Perhaps that has been you. You've walked through seasons where you felt ignored or forgotten, where your gifts were not recognized, where your voice felt silenced. Yet every step of that journey was forming resilience, shaping humility, and sharpening vision. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you thought was wasted was actually being woven into the bigger picture of your calling. Think of the sculptor working with marble. Every strike of the chisel looks harsh. Every fragment that falls away looks like loss. But slowly, a form begins to emerge. A masterpiece hidden within the stone. That is what God has been doing in you. The pressure, the breaking, the moments of loss, each one has revealed more of who you really are. You have been marked from birth, not with the marks of defeat, but with the seal of destiny. Even when others doubted you, heaven did not. Even when you doubted yourself, heaven's plan remained. Your difference has always been your evidence. So do not despise the seasons that shaped you. Do not curse the silence that trained you. You were set apart long before anyone else recognized it. You are the seed that refuses to die, the flame that refuses to go out, the chosen one who carries a destiny larger than the storms you have faced. When you look back, you will see it more clearly. The patterns, the divine interruptions, the way doors opened and closed. It was never random. It was guidance. It was orchestration. It was love disguised as discipline. Chosen one. Remember this, you were marked from birth. And nothing can erase what God has already written. Even now, you may still wrestle with doubt. You may ask, if I was marked, why did I suffer so much? But understand, this being chosen does not mean avoiding hardship. It means hardship becomes the very furnace where your strength is revealed. What was meant to destroy you has only proven that you cannot be broken. Picture a tree planted on the edge of a cliff. Winds batter it. Storms lash against it. Yet its roots dig deeper into the rock. Over time, that tree becomes unshakable, standing as a witness of endurance. That is you. The storms have not uprooted you, they have anchored you more firmly in the purpose you were created for. So, lift your perspective. Stop measuring your worth by what was taken from you. Begin to see the pattern. You have been carried, preserved, and kept for a reason. The same God who marked you from birth is still guiding your steps today, and nothing can cancel His plan. You have carried tears that no one else saw, nights when your pillow was soaked, yet by morning you wore a smile as though nothing was wrong. You thought those tears disappeared into silence, but heaven recorded every single one. Not a sigh escaped unnoticed. Not a cry was ignored. Every hidden ache was gathered like drops of oil, stored for a greater purpose. It is easy to believe that pain is wasted, easy to think the years of struggle, the lonely prayers, the broken promises add up to nothing. But listen, God wastes nothing. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 4, He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. That promise is not only for eternity, it echoes in your life even now. Each tear has been seed. Each disappointment has been soil. You have been buried. But burial is only the disguise of planting. You are rising. And what once broke you will soon become the testimony that builds others. There was once a man who worked for years with no recognition. He gave everything: time, energy, loyalty, yet was constantly overlooked. One day, the very people who ignored him came seeking his wisdom, because what he endured quietly had built wisdom no school could teach. His pain became his platform. The same is true for you. The things you endured in silence have been shaping a strength that cannot be faked. Think of the rain. When it falls, it seems to disappear into the dirt, lost and forgotten. Yet, given time, that same rain rises again as streams, as rivers, as the very life that nourishes the earth. Your tears are not wasted rain. they are becoming rivers. And so, I ask you now to take a step. Still standing. Write these 2 words in the comments. Why? Because you are proof that storms did not end you. You are still here. Still breathing. Still chosen. Declaring it is not for others, it is for your spirit. To remind yourself that survival is victory. And your survival is prophecy. Never doubt this. Your pain has purpose. Your tears are not weakness, they are proof of your endurance. And what has been recorded in heaven will one day be revealed on earth as glory through your life. Do not underestimate what it means to be still standing. Think of everything that tried to knock you down, the betrayals, the nights of despair, the seasons where hope felt impossible, yet here you are. The very fact that you are still here is a declaration louder than any words. It says, the storm failed. The enemy lost. The fire refined, but did not consume. Your survival is not just endurance, it is evidence. Evidence that heaven's hand has been over your life. Evidence that you are protected for a reason bigger than yourself. Evidence that no weapon formed against you has prospered. Others might see scars, but heaven see proof. Proof that you are not fragile glass, but refined steel, tempered through the fire of trial. Consider the image of a phoenix rising from ashes. What looked destroyed was not an ending, but a beginning. That is the rhythm of your life. What was meant to bury you has only given you wings. People who thought your silence meant defeat will soon witness your rising, just as ashes carry the story of fire. You carry the story of survival, and survival births authority. Let's go deeper. Your tears have not only been collected, they have been transformed. In the kingdom of God, nothing stays the same. Suffering becomes testimony. Weeping becomes joy. Weakness becomes strength. The oil that flows from your life now carries healing for others. Do you see it? The very places where you were broken will become the very places where others are restored. Imagine someone coming to you years from now, saying, "Because you endured, I found courage to endure too." That is the ripple effect of your survival. Your tears are not private history, they are public ministry in the making. You are a walking testimony that pain does not have the final word. So, when you declare, "Still standing," you are not only speaking to the present moment, you are prophesying into your future. You are saying, storms may come, seasons may shift, but I will rise every time. You are aligning your voice with heaven's truth, and heaven never wastes agreement. Chosen one, lift your head. What you thought was the end is only the preparation. What felt like silence was the sound of roots growing deep. You are still standing. And because of that, greater is yet to come. There is a reason you have felt constant pressure in your life. Pressure is not random. It is always attached to potential. If you carried nothing of value, the battle against you would have been minimal. But because you carry light, darkness has always taken notice. The struggles you faced were never just about you, they were about what is inside you, about what would come through you. Think of a treasure chest buried underground. On the surface, it looks like just another patch of dirt. Nothing significant. But the deeper you dig, the more resistance you feel. Rocks, roots, and layers of earth fight to keep the chest hidden. Why? Because what is hidden is valuable. In the same way, the resistance you have faced is confirmation that there is treasure within you. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, Chapter 4, verse 7. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. Oh, this is why opposition followed you. The enemy does not chase emptiness. He only opposes vessels that carry something dangerous to his agenda. You have always carried a light that unsettles darkness. Even when you did not see it in yourself, your very presence shifts atmospheres. Sometimes people could not explain why they resisted you. But it was never really them. It was the spirit of darkness disturbed by your light. There was once a young man who entered a workplace where gossip, jealousy, and bitterness ruled. He was not the most skilled, nor the loudest. But something about his integrity disrupted the environment. People tried to exclude him, to minimize him, to push him out. At first, he thought it was personal. Later, he realized it was spiritual. His light was a mirror that exposed the shadows around him, and no matter how much they resisted, they could not stop the impact of his quiet strength. That is your story too. You may have walked into rooms and felt instant tension. You may have entered relationships where people tried to dim your flame. You may have faced attacks that seemed unreasonable, disproportionate to your actions. That is because it was never just about what you said or did. It was about who you are. Chosen ones often carry a weight that provokes resistance simply by existing. Think of the eagle in the sky. Smaller birds chase it, darting and squawking. Yet the eagle does not waste time fighting them. It simply rises higher until they can no longer follow. That is your call. The resistance you face is not an invitation to fight on the ground, but a reminder to rise above, to ascend into the altitude where only those with true wings can soar. Do not mistake the presence of opposition as the absence of God. In fact, opposition often proves you are exactly where you are supposed to be. When light enters darkness, there will always be pushback. The greater your calling, the greater the resistance. But understand this: resistance is not your end. It is your training ground. Think about how muscles are built. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without weight pressing down, there is no strength developed. The very things that have pressed against you are the same things that have formed your endurance. Every battle you survived was a workout for your spirit, preparing you for the weight of the crown you are called to carry. You have been targeted because you are trusted. God only allows pressure where there is potential. He knows what He placed inside you, and He knows you are capable of carrying it. Others may have underestimated you, but heaven has never doubted you. The pressure has always been a compliment, even when it felt like a curse. So, do not fear the attacks, and do not shrink back when resistance rises again. Remember that pressure proves value. Attacks confirm assignment. And the very fact that darkness tried so hard to silence you is evidence that your voice carries impact far beyond what you realize. Chosen one. The enemy fears you because he sees the mark on your life. He sees the treasure in your vessel. And though he may fight, he cannot win. Because the light in you is not of your own making, it is the eternal flame of God that cannot be extinguished. And when you understand this, your perspective shifts. No longer do you see battles as punishment, but as proof that you are chosen, proof that you are carrying something worth fighting for. So lift your head, chosen one. If darkness fears your light this much, then your future must shine brighter than you've imagined. There are moments in life when the road splits, and you know a decision must be made. You stand at a spiritual crossroads, and your next steps matter. Delay is dangerous. Waiting too long to respond to God's voice risks missing what He has already prepared for you. This is one of those moments. Think of a traveler who comes to a fork in the road. One path looks wide, crowded, and easy. The other is narrow, kinkesque, and steep. Most people choose the wider way because it seems safer, but the traveler who dares to take the narrow path discovers hidden springs, breathtaking views, and treasures unseen by the crowd. That traveler is you. The Spirit is urging you not to drift with the masses, but to step boldly into the narrow path of destiny. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. And this verse is not a condemnation, but a wake-up call. It is God shaking you gently, saying, choose me fully. Don't stand in the middle any longer, because neutrality is dangerous. Delay is costly. Heaven is asking for your yes. You may feel hesitation. That is normal. But remember, every major breakthrough requires a moment of choice. Think about seeds. If you keep them in your hand, nothing changes. But when you release them into the soil, that act of letting go begins a process of multiplication. You cannot see it immediately, but underground, something powerful is happening. The same is true for your life. Your obedience becomes the seed of your future. This is where I want to pause and speak to your heart gently. Many of you have been walking this journey with me, receiving words that have touched you, strengthened you, reminded you of who you are. And I want to invite you into something deeper, not by pressure, not by demand, but by love. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just pressing buttons, you are lighting torches. One torch becomes many, and soon an entire valley once drowned in darkness begins to glow. Your simple act could be the very thing that keeps another chosen one from giving up tonight. And if your heart feels drawn, I extend another invitation. If you feel led to donate, see it not as losing something, but as planting a tree. A single seed today becomes shade for generations you may never meet. Your gift is not consumed. It multiplies into shelter, strength, and fruit in places beyond your sight. No gift is too small. Every drop counts. Every act of kindness adds to the current. Just as a lantern cannot shine without oil, this work shines brighter because of those who choose to add oil. And I say this with all sincerity. Give only if you feel joy in giving. This is never a condition to receive, but an opportunity to be part of something bigger. Picture yourself as a stone dropped into a pond. The ripples spread far beyond where you first touched the water. That is the image of your support. Whether it is a share, a comment, a prayer, or a donation, the ripple keeps moving, touching lives you may never meet, but heaven sees. I ask you to imagine this: a weary soul scrolling late at night, ready to give up, suddenly stumbles on a message, this very message. They hear the words, and hope sparks again. That moment may have been made possible because you chose to give, to share, to support. You may never know their name, but heaven records your part in their story. And so, with all gentleness, I extend this invitation. Like, share, subscribe, and if you feel led, donate not as a requirement, but as a free act of faith. Just as rivers flow freely without demand, let your choice flow freely, knowing it carries life far beyond what either of us could see alone. You are standing at a crossroads, but you are not alone. Heaven is with you, and as you step forward, know this: your obedience, your generosity, your simple yes, all of it becomes part of a story much larger than your own. Every crossroads is sacred, because it asks you to decide who you truly are. You are not just wandering aimlessly, you are moving toward a destiny written long before you were born. Each step matters. So take courage, whether through prayer, through action, or through generosity. Your yes resounds in heaven. The road ahead will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. And this moment is proof that you are right where you need to be. There are moments when heaven requires more than listening. It requires response. Words fall on your spirit like rain. But unless you answer, the soil cannot produce fruit. This is one of those moments. Your agreement is not casual, it is prophetic. Your declaration in faith opens doors that silence keeps shut. You have walked through enough storms to know this. Survival alone is not the end of your story. You were not chosen just to endure, you were chosen to overcome, to carry light that transforms the very places which once tried to break you. And now, heaven is asking you to mark your response, to put a seal on your yes. End of. The prophet Habakkuk once cried out in his scroll. Chapter 2, verse 3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. No, you see, the waiting season has been your furnace. You wondered why the breakthrough seemed delayed, why prayers echoed back in silence. But the truth is this: the appointed time is sacred. God's timing is never rushed, never behind. And though you have felt forgotten, you were simply being prepared for the very moment that is now upon you. Think of the farmer who plants a vineyard. He tills the soil, sows the seeds, waters faithfully, yet nothing shows for months. Neighbors may laugh, doubting his efforts, but one morning, tender shoots break the surface, and soon the field becomes a harvest. That farmer never planted in vain, and neither have you waited in vain. This is why your response today matters, because heaven is shifting you from waiting into receiving, from survival into victory, from hiddenness into unveiling. But the door only swings open when your heart gives a full yes. There was once a woman who prayed for years over her family, believing for change, but seeing little evidence. Her friends told her to give up, to move on, to accept the situation as it was. Yet she held her ground, choosing faith over resignation. Years later, her prayers became the very foundation that turned her household around. Her waiting was not wasted, it was investment. Her story mirrors yours. You are closer than you think. Think of yourself as a candle in a dark room. When unlit, it looks ordinary, easily overlooked. But the moment fire touches its wick, the whole atmosphere changes. You are that candle. The waiting season was the shaping of your wax, the strengthening of your wick. But now, heaven is striking the match. And so, as a prophetic act of faith, he invites you to declare your alignment. Type the number 144 inches, The comments. Why 144? Because it represents the fullness of God's people and the completion of divine promises. It is a sign that you are part of something greater, a testimony that heaven's plan is unfolding in perfect precision. When you type it, you are not typing for me. You are declaring it over your own destiny. You are saying, I choose alignment. I choose order. I choose to walk in step with heaven's timing. It may seem small, but small acts of obedience open mighty doors. Remember the image of the potter's wheel. The clay spins, pressed and reshaped by hands that know what they are forming. Sometimes it feels dizzying, sometimes painful, but the potter never loses control. The vessel is never abandoned, and when it is ready, it carries water, oil, and treasure. That is you. You are almost finished in the hands of the Master. Do not despise the wait. Do not despise the hidden years. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. The enemy whispered that your story was stuck. But today heaven reminds you, you are stepping into divine order. The scattered pieces are being gathered. The long wait is coming into alignment. Chosen one, let your faith speak louder than your fear. Mark this moment. Heaven is waiting for your yes, and your yes will not be ignored. The number 144 is not random. It is a prophetic reminder that you belong to a people marked, sealed, and protected. In the book of Revelation, it represents a complete company preserved for God's purposes. By declaring it, you are stepping into that same covering, that same divine assurance that your place in the kingdom cannot be erased. So as you type it, let it be more than digits on a screen. Let it be your declaration of belonging, your seal of faith, your agreement with heaven's design. You are not lost, not forgotten. You are counted, chosen, and secure. There is a weight you have carried that many around you could never understand. They saw your smile, your determination, your ability to stand tall in difficult moments. But they never felt the hidden battles behind your calm exterior. You have been carrying more than your share, often in silence, often with no one to help shoulder the load. The truth is, God trusted you with weight because He knew you could carry it, not because you were strong on your own, but because He designed your shoulders to bear responsibility that others could not. What you have carried is not punishment, it is evidence of calling. The heavier the weight, the greater the purpose behind it. Think of the ox that pulls a plow across the field. To the passerby, it may look like hard labor without reward. But every step, every pull is breaking ground for future harvest. The ox is not wasting its strength. It is preparing the soil where seed will soon flourish. That image is you. Every tear, every burden, every long season of perseverance has been plowing the ground for a harvest you have not yet seen. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And this scripture does not deny the weight, it acknowledges it. Weariness is real, but it also assures you that your endurance is not in vain. The things you carried responsibility for family, silent battles with fear, secret prayers in the night are not wasted. They are written into a future reward that will come in due season. There was once a man who grew up taking responsibility long before his time. As a child, he worked while others played. As a teenager, he carried his family's burdens while others lived carefree. For years, he resented the weight, thinking it robbed him of a normal life. But years later, he realized the weight had also built him into a pillar others could lean on. His strength became a refuge for many. What once felt unfair became evidence that he was prepared for more than ordinary. Perhaps this resonates with you. You have been entrusted with challenges that seemed too big for you. People around you didn't understand the depth of your struggles. And yet, here you are still moving forward, still carrying, still standing. That resilience is not by accident. It is the mark of someone chosen to steward more than their own story. Think of a bridge stretched across a river. It bears the weight of countless travelers, cars, and loads every single day. Most people never stop to thank the bridge, never notice the strain it carries. But without it, no one could cross. You have been like that bridge, supporting others, carrying burdens silently, standing firm while others pass through. The beauty of your story is this: you were never meant to carry the weight forever. The season of unrelenting strain is not endless. Just as a relay runner eventually passes the baton, the time will come when God lifts the extra burdens and brings others to help. Your faithfulness in carrying has not gone unnoticed, and the relief you long for will come in its season. It is important to remember, what you carried is shaping who you are becoming. Responsibility has taught you wisdom. Burdens have built compassion. Trials have forged endurance. The very weight you once wished to escape has been the instrument of your transformation. There was once a woman who carried years of financial struggle, working multiple jobs just to provide. She often thought, "Why me?" But later, when abundance finally came, she carried generosity like no one else. Her years of weight birthed a heart that could bless others deeply. Because she remembered the struggle intimately, her burden became her gift. So do not despise the weight. Do not curse the seasons where your shoulders felt heavy. They are evidence that heaven trusted you with assignments others could not bear. They are proof that your destiny carries more than just your own survival. It carries breakthrough for others. Chosen one. The weight you carried was never wasted. Every step, every burden, every silent prayer is a line written into your destiny. The harvest is not yet in sight, but it is certain. And when it arrives, you will see clearly that nothing you endured was in vain. And when that day comes, you will look back with clarity, realizing the weight you carried was never a curse, but the very proof that you were chosen for greatness. Every calling carries an assignment, and every assignment is bigger than the person chosen to carry it. That is why God does not choose based on appearance, talent, or background. He chooses based on destiny. You have been given a mission that no one else can fulfill. It may not look grand to the world, but in heaven's eyes, it is irreplaceable. From the beginning, God has woven his story through ordinary people entrusted with extraordinary purposes. A shepherd boy became a king. A fisherman became an apostle. A persecutor of believers became a builder of churches. None of them looked qualified, yet each one carried an assignment that shifted history. The same is true for you. The word of the Lord reminds us in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." This verse does not speak only of Jeremiah. It echoes to every chosen life. Before your first cry, before your first breath. Heaven had already signed your name to an assignment. That assignment may be quiet or public, visible or hidden, but its impact stretches further than you realize. Think of an arrow. On its own, it is just a shaft of wood, simple and plain. But in the hands of a skilled archer, it is positioned, drawn back, and released toward a target. That is your life. The tension you have felt, the seasons of being pulled back, were not to hold you down but to launch you forward. There was once a young man who dreamed of speaking to crowds. Yet for years, he was asked only to serve quietly, setting up chairs, cleaning floors, doing unseen tasks. He questioned if he had been overlooked. But in time, those hidden years built his humility, sharpened his voice, and prepared his heart. When the moment came, his assignment unfolded with power, and he realized nothing was wasted. His quiet service was the training ground for his public purpose. Perhaps you too have felt hidden. Perhaps your assignment feels small compared to others. But do not confuse visibility with value. Some of the most powerful assignments are carried in silence. A mother raising a child in faith is shaping generations. A worker choosing integrity in a corrupt system is shining light in darkness. A friend offering comfort in a season of despair is embodying God's love. Your assignment is not measured by applause, it is measured by obedience. Think of a single candle in a vast cathedral. The room is filled with shadows until that one flame is lit. Suddenly, darkness retreats. The candle does not boast, does not shout, but its presence shifts everything. That is your assignment. You may feel small, but the light you carry disrupts entire atmospheres. The beauty of an assignment is that it always connects to something greater. The fisherman who left his nets did not know he would one day turn the world upside down. The boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish did not know his small offering would feed thousands. Your assignment too is larger than you see right now. What feels like a single step is part of a much greater story. Assignments are rarely easy. They stretch you, confront your weaknesses, and demand faith when sight fails. But they are also where you encounter God most deeply. Because He never sends you alone, He goes with you, strengthening your hands, giving you words, opening doors that no one can shut. There was once a woman who dreamed of helping the broken, but doubted she was strong enough. She started simply, visiting one person, listening, praying quietly. Years later, her assignment had grown into a movement, touching countless lives. She realized that the assignment had never been about her strength, but about her willingness. So hear this clearly. You have an assignment. It may not look like the world expects. It may not resemble the dreams you once had, but it carries eternal weight. And it is yours alone. Do not despise it. Do not compare it. Do not run from it. Your assignment is your gift to the world. The unique mark only you can leave. Step into it, for heaven is counting on your obedience. And as you walk in it, you will discover that your assignment is not a burden, but a channel. It is the pathway through which heaven's love flows to others, and through which your own life finds its true meaning. Every step of obedience shapes history in ways you cannot yet see. Your assignment is not small, it is eternal. Every great destiny requires response. It is not enough to hear truth, you must echo it. Heaven waits for your agreement, because your words carry power. The unseen responds when your mouth declares what your spirit already knows. You have heard the promises. You have felt the stirring in your heart. But promises are not meant to stay hidden like seeds in a jar. They must be planted through faith, through declaration, through aligning your voice with heaven's. The Apostle James wrote in his letter, chapter 2, verse 17, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Faith is never silent. Faith is alive. And life speaks. Even a whisper matters. Even a few words can unlock a future. Think of the way a key works, small in size, but powerful enough to open a massive door. That is the power of your agreement when it leaves your lips. There was once a woman who felt insignificant. She thought her prayers were too small, her words too weak. Yet one night, she dared to whisper, "Lord, I trust you." That whisper became the beginning of breakthrough. Her simple words carried more power than she ever imagined. Do not underestimate what is inside your mouth. Words can destroy, but they can also create. From the beginning, God spoke the universe into existence, and you, made in His image, carry that same creative force in your voice. That is why your declaration is not optional, it is vital. Think of a match struck in the dark. It may seem like nothing compared to the vast shadows around it. Yet the moment it burns, the room shifts. One spark changes everything. Your words are that spark. And so, I invite you to respond right here, right now. I choose light. Write these 3 words in the comments. Why? Because choosing light is not only about rejecting darkness, it is about aligning your life with the very mission heaven placed within you. When you type it, you are declaring that shadows no longer control you, that confusion no longer defines you, and that you are stepping fully into your assignment. It is a small act, but like the key, like the match, it opens more than you realize. Chosen one. Your agreement matters. Your declaration matters. And as you speak, as you write, as you choose light, heaven moves. Every declaration becomes like a seed cast into the soil of your future. You may not see its fruit immediately, but time will reveal its power. The field does not lie to the farmer. What is planted will grow. When you say, "I choose light," you are not only making a statement for today, you are setting a pattern for tomorrow. You are saying that no matter what storms rise, your heart will lean toward the flame of truth. Consider the lighthouse on a cliff. Storms rage, waves pound, but the light keeps shining. It never debates with the darkness, it simply stands. That is what your declaration does. It becomes your lighthouse, steady and unshaken, guiding you through the storm. Some may think it is just words, just letters on a screen. But remember this, God has always used words to shift destinies. One word from Him created galaxies. One declaration of faith from you can redirect the path of your life. There was once a man who battled with fear daily. He decided to begin each morning with a simple declaration, "I will not fear." At first it felt strange, almost powerless. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Over time, his fear weakened, and courage became his new normal. His daily declaration transformed his reality. So when you type, "I choose light," do not think of it as a fleeting comment. Think of it as a prophecy over your own life. You are inviting heaven's light to flood every dark corner, every hidden place, every doubt, every fear. Even more, your words carry ripple effects. Someone else, scrolling through and reading your comment, may feel courage rise in their own heart. Your declaration might spark theirs. In this way, you not only shift your atmosphere, but ignite change in others. This is why I tell you, never underestimate your words. Your mouth is not small in heaven's eyes. It is an instrument, a trumpet, a weapon. And when you choose light, you are joining heaven's chorus against darkness itself. And from this day forward, let your voice never be silent. Speak life where there is death. Speak light where there is darkness. And speak hope where there is despair. Your words are not empty, they are carriers of destiny. And heaven honors every declaration you make. You have walked through valleys. You have endured storms. And yet you are still here, not only standing, but carrying a crown reserved for those who refuse to give up. The crown is not only a symbol of reward, but of identity. It is heaven's recognition that you endured, that you stayed faithful when quitting seemed easier. Crowns are not given to those who watched from the sidelines. They are given to those who pressed on through fire and rain. That is you. You are not wearing defeat, you are wearing glory. Even when you did not see it, heaven was shaping a crown for your head, fitting it to the exact size of your calling. The Apostle Paul declares in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and also to all who long for his appearing." This promise was not for Paul alone. It echoes over your life. Every tear, every prayer, every step of endurance is woven into that crown. Think of a blacksmith forging metal. The heat, the hammer, the sparks all seem destructive, but they are shaping strength. That is what your trials have done. They have shaped your crown. The fire did not consume you, it crafted you. And in this moment, I want to pause and invite you gently. When you like, share, and subscribe, it is more than just digital action. It is like lifting your crown so others can see that endurance is possible. It is also like striking a bell in a quiet valley. The sound does not stay with you alone. It echoes outward, awakening others still asleep in the shadows. Every click becomes a ripple of encouragement to someone scrolling in silence. Someone who needs to know they too can wear a crown. And if your heart feels stirred, if you sense the beauty of giving, there is another step. If you feel led to donate, see it not as losing, but as sowing. It is like planting a garden in dry land. One seed may seem small, but in time, it becomes shade, is fruit, and nourishment for countless lives. It is also like placing another brick on a bridge. Each brick may look small by itself, but together they form the path that carries countless souls safely across the waters of despair. Your generosity becomes the soil where new crowns are forged. Think of lanterns glowing in a dark valley. Each one needs oil to keep burning. Without it, the flame flickers out. But when oil is poured in, the light shines longer, guiding more travelers home. Your donation is that oil. It keeps the flame alive so others can find their way. Not forced, not demanded, but freely given. Like pouring from an overflowing cup, No gift is ever too small. A single drop of rain can refresh dry soil. A single coin, given with love, can open a door. A single act of generosity becomes like a stone cast into water. Its ripples extend further than you imagine. There was once a woman who felt her offering was insignificant. She gave quietly, almost embarrassed by its size. Yet years later, she met someone whose life was changed because of the very work she had helped sustain. She realized then, no gift is ever wasted in heaven's economy. So hear this clearly. Like, share, subscribe, and if your spirit leads, give. Not because you must, but because it is beautiful to be part of something greater than yourself. Generosity is never loss, it is transformation. Think of a choir. One voice alone is fragile. But when many voices join, the sound fills the room with glory. Your support is a voice in that choir. Together, we build something louder, something stronger, something heaven uses to awaken others. The crown on your head is not only personal, it carries responsibility. It is a reminder that your journey is connected to others. By sharing, supporting, or giving, you extend the crown's weight, offering others the same hope you now carry. And so, I tell you, do not underestimate the power of your yes. Whether it is through a share, a subscription, a prayer, or a gift, your action is part of a story far greater than you can see. You have endured. You are crowned. And you are called to shine. Let your crown not sit hidden, but lifted, so others might see and believe that their own story, too, can end in victory. And when others witness your light, they will understand the crown you wear is not only your victory, but their invitation. Your endurance becomes a map, guiding them into hope. Every story of destiny encounters warfare, not the kind fought with weapons in the hands, but the kind that rages in the unseen, pressing against your spirit, whispering lies into your mind, trying to convince you to abandon what was planted in your heart. This has been your reality. The very fact that you are chosen made you a target. Spiritual warfare is not proof that you are failing, it is proof that you are advancing. Darkness does not waste energy on those who pose no threat. It only opposes the ones carrying light. Because your existence unsettles the plans of the enemy. Every strange opposition, every sudden setback, every unexplainable weight you have felt has been a sign. You are valuable in the kingdom. The Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." This scripture exposes the reality you have lived. Your battles were never only about people or circumstances. They were about forces beyond the visible, trying desperately to derail the assignment written over you. Yet here is the truth. If the opposition could have destroyed you, it would have done so already. The fact that you are still here means you are already victorious. Think of a storm battering against a mountain. The winds roar. The rains pound. Yet the mountain does not move. The storm spends itself and eventually passes. But the mountain remains. You are that mountain. The storms of warfare did not move you. They only revealed the strength within you. There was once a young man who constantly faced betrayal from those closest to him. Each time, he thought it was personal. that something was wrong with him. Later, he learned that the enemy often tries to wound chosen ones through relationships, hoping to fracture their trust and isolate them. Once he recognized the strategy, he stopped blaming himself and started standing firm. His life shifted when he realized the battle was spiritual, not personal. Perhaps you, too, have carried wounds that felt deeply personal: rejections, disappointments, betrayals. Yet, in the light of truth, those were battlefields. The enemy saw your calling and sought to cut you off through pain. But what he underestimated was your resilience. The very wounds meant to silence you have become scars that testify of your survival. Think of an army training in harsh terrain. The soldiers sweat, stumble, and strain. Yet the training is not wasted. It prepares them for the real battle. Likewise, every season of warfare you endured has been your training ground. You are not weak because you fought. You are strong because you survived. Even now, you may still feel the residue of battle moments of anxiety, lingering fears, memories of failure. But hear this: you are not defined by the battles you fought. You are defined by the victories you carry. Every time you chose faith over fear, every time you stood instead of surrendering, you added another layer of strength to your spirit. There was once a woman who endured years of inner warfare. Thoughts of giving up haunted her. Whispers of worthlessness echoed in her mind. Yet she learned to fight back, not with her own strength, but with the words of truth. Over time, her thoughts shifted, her confidence returned, and her testimony became a weapon that freed others. Her story shows us, even the battlefield of the mind can become a place of triumph. Your life is a battlefield, yes, but it is also a victory ground. The presence of warfare is evidence that you carry something worth fighting for. And though you may feel weary at times, you must remember, the battle has already been won. The cross sealed it. Your role is not to achieve victory, but to walk in it. So, do not fear the intensity of your warfare. It does not mean you are weak. It means you are a warrior. Every scar is a medal. Every trial is a training. And every victory is a declaration that the darkness could not overcome the light within you. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The warfare around you is loud, but the truth is louder. You are already more than a conqueror, and nothing, no force, no shadow, no scheme can separate you from the purpose written over your life. And when the battle feels unending, remember this: every warrior marked by God carries both scars and crowns. Your scars tell the story of survival, and your crown declares the victory already secured in heaven's design. There are times when God marks his chosen ones with signs that cannot be explained by logic. These are not coincidences but confirmations, reminders that you are walking in alignment with something bigger than yourself. This moment is one of those markers. Heaven is asking you not just to hear, but to respond with a prophetic act that seals your agreement. All throughout Scripture, numbers have carried meaning. 7 spoke of completion. 12 represented divine government. 40 signified testing and preparation. These numbers are not empty symbols. They are echoes of heaven's order, woven into creation to remind us that God is always working with precision. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Oh, courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. And sometimes courage begins with a small act of faith, even something as simple as declaring a number, because in that act, you are saying to heaven, I agree, I align, I believe. Note, think of a stone dropped into still water. At first it seems small, almost unnoticed, but the ripples spread wider and wider until they touch the edges of the whole pond. That is what your declaration does. It may seem small, but its impact goes further than you realize. There was once a young woman who struggled with doubt. She often asked God for a sign, wondering if he truly saw her. One day, she stumbled across a number in Scripture that spoke directly to her season. It became her anchor, a constant reminder that God was not silent. Every time she wrote it, she felt her faith steady again. What seemed like coincidence was really confirmation. This is why I invite you now. Type the number 999 inches the comments. Why 999? Because it represents finality and transition into new beginnings. It is heaven's reminder that certain chapters are closing, but only so that better ones may open. It is the echo of God's promise. What I began, I will bring to completion. No, when you type it, you are not just putting digits on a screen. You are planting a flag in the spiritual realm, declaring that you are ready to release the old, embrace the new, and step fully into alignment with God's timing. Think of a sunset. To some, it marks the end of the day. But to others, it is the announcement that a new dawn is on the horizon. That is 999. An ending that makes way for a beginning. Some may see this as small, but do not underestimate prophetic actions. Throughout Scripture, God often asked his people to do simple things with great meaning. March around the walls, lift up a staff, dip into the river. The act itself was simple, but obedience released miracles. There was once a man who felt trapped in cycles of disappointment. He came across the number 999 while praying and took it as confirmation that his old season was closing. Within weeks, doors opened in places he never expected. It was not the number itself that changed things. It was his willingness to believe that God was leading him forward. So hear me clearly. 999 is your declaration of closure and promise. It is not superstition, it is alignment. It is your heart saying yes to God's hand as he closes old doors and opens new ones. And as you respond, heaven marks your faith. Chosen one. The season you have endured is not the end, it is the threshold. Type 999. And let it be your reminder. Endings are not loss. They are invitations to begin again under God's perfect plan. Endings can feel painful, like something precious is being taken away. Yet in God's design, endings are never meant to leave you empty. They are meant to free your hands for what is coming next. 999 is heaven's way of telling you that release is not loss, but preparation. Think of a tree in autumn. The leaves fall, and at first it looks bare, almost lifeless. But the shedding is not death, it is renewal. By letting go, the tree prepares for the new life of spring. In the same way, the chapters closing in your life are making room for new blossoms. So let your declaration of 999 be more than a number. Let it be your faith-filled agreement that God's timing is perfect. You are not walking into uncertainty. You are stepping into the fullness of a story already written, one that carries promise, hope, and new beginnings. There are seasons when mercy stretches wide, giving space for repentance, reflection, and return. But there are also moments when mercy steps back, when hesitation risks losing what God has prepared. This is a sobering truth, but it carries both warning and hope. Do not waste the window that is open before you. The prophet Hosea records in his writings, chapter 10, verse 12, "Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you." This verse is a call to action. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The ground of your heart cannot remain untouched forever, waiting too long, delaying too often. Risks allowing the soil to harden until it resists the seed. The Spirit whispers, "Now is the time." End of 4. Think of a farmer standing before his field. The clouds are gathering. Rain is near, but the soil has not yet been broken. If he delays even one more day, the rain will fall on unbroken ground, and the season of planting will be lost. That image is a reflection of your own heart. The rain of God's presence is coming, but the soil must be ready. There was once a man who felt the tug of God's voice for years. He often said, "One day I will surrender fully. One day I will obey." Yet life passed. Distractions multiplied, and his one day never came. When hardship struck, he realized too late that the soil of his heart had grown hard. It took years of breaking before he could feel the whisper again. His story is a reminder. The window of mercy is a gift, not a guarantee. Perhaps you, too, have felt that tension, the desire to wait, to delay, to postpone what you know must be done. But hesitation can become habit, and habit can become bondage. The enemy does not always need to lure you into rebellion. Sometimes he only needs to keep you in delay. And every delay risks dulling your ears to heaven's voice. Think of iron left in the rain. At first it is strong, gleaming, and solid. But over time, if neglected, rust begins to spread, slowly, silently. Strength is lost. That is what prolonged hesitation does to the heart. It corrodes conviction. It makes what was once sharp and ready become fragile and weak. Yet here is the hope. Even rusted iron can be restored. Even hardened ground can be broken again. Mercy may warn, but mercy also invites. It is not too late. The very fact that you are hearing this now is proof that heaven has not given up on you. The door is still open. The rain is still near. There was once a woman who wandered far from God. She thought she had gone too far, that the door was closed for good. But one night, she felt the gentle nudge to pray. Even after years of silence, she whispered a few words, and that whisper cracked the hardness around her heart. Slowly, mercy flooded back in. Her story is evidence. As long as you can feel the tug, the invitation remains. Do not mistake the patience of God for permission to linger forever. His patience is kindness, but His kindness is meant to lead you to action. The window of mercy is open, but windows are not eternal. They are moments, invitations, seasons that must be seized. Think of a ship preparing to leave the harbor. The bell rings. The sails are lifted. The tide is right. But if the sailor delays too long, the moment passes, and the ship departs without him. You have heard the bell. The tide is rising. This is the moment to step aboard. Chosen one, you are standing in a sacred time. Mercy holds the door open before you, but the door will not remain open forever. Seize it while you can, for the rain is near. The soil is ready, and heaven is waiting for your response. The urgency you feel is not pressure from man, it is the heartbeat of heaven calling you closer. God is not pushing you away with warnings. He is pulling you in with love that refuses to let you drift. So take this moment seriously. The door before you is mercy itself, wide and waiting. Step through while it is open, for beyond it lies restoration, peace, and the fullness of the life you were created to walk in. Delay no longer. This is your appointed time. There are fires in life that are meant to consume, and there are fires in life that are meant to refine. For the chosen ones, the fire has always been refinement. You have walked through heat that should have destroyed you, yet instead, it purified you. The flames you endured did not leave you in ashes, they left you shining brighter. The prophet Zechariah wrote in chapter 13, verse 9, "This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God." This verse reveals a truth that is both sobering and beautiful. The fire is not a punishment, but a process. Silver does not resist the flame because it knows the heat is what brings out its shine. Gold does not curse the furnace because it knows only fire can separate the pure from the impure. And so it has been with you. Think of a piece of pottery in the kiln. Before the fire, it is fragile, soft, easily broken. But after enduring the intense heat, it emerges hardened, ready for use, prepared to hold what it was designed for. That image is you. The kiln of trial has not left you, shattered it, has made you ready. There was once a young man who lost everything he thought defined him: his job, his home, his closest relationships. He described it as walking through fire. At first, he believed it was the end, but in time, he discovered that what was burned away were things that could not carry into his future. What remained was stronger, purer, and far more enduring. His story mirrors the journey of every chosen one. The fire strips away what was never meant to stay, leaving only what is eternal. Perhaps you have felt the sting of that same fire. Dreams lost, friendships broken, seasons of loneliness where it felt as though everything familiar was removed. Yet notice this: though the fire touched much, it did not consume you. The reason is simple. You were never the target of destruction. You were the object of refinement. Think of a forest after a wildfire. At first glance, all seems lost: blackened trees, ash covering the ground, silence heavy in the air. But hidden beneath the soil are seeds that only fire can unlock. In the months that follow, green shoots appear, stronger than before, nourished by the very ashes of the old fire. In its mystery, gave way to new life. That is your story. What you endured was not meant to break you, but to unlock you. There were parts of your calling, seeds of your destiny, that could only emerge through heat. Without the pressure, they would have remained buried. But through the fire, They awakened. And now, they grow. There was once a woman who endured years of criticism and hardship. She felt constantly under fire from people around her, judged and misunderstood. But over time, she noticed that her skin had grown tougher, her heart softer, her discernment sharper. The very trials that once wounded her became the tools that shaped her. The fire had not scarred her, it had sculpted her. This is the paradox of the chosen. While others may crumble under heat, you emerge stronger. While others may retreat, you advance. While others may carry bitterness, you carry wisdom. The fire has marked you, but not with defeat, with resilience. So do not despise the flames you walked through. Do not mourn what was lost in the fire. If it burned, it was not meant for your future. If it remained, it is indestructible. And now you stand, not as one consumed, but as one refined, tested, and proven. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. You are marked with fire, but you are not defined by ashes. You are defined by what survived, by what emerged, by the purity that now shines through your life. And because of this, you are unstoppable. The world may only see the scars of your battles, but heaven sees the glow of your refinement. What was once weakness is now strength. What was once fragile is now unbreakable. Even your silence carries weight now, because it is not empty. It has been filled with wisdom, forged in fire. Your presence alone testifies that survival is possible and victory is real. So, walk boldly. You are no longer one merely enduring flames. You are a torchbearer. And wherever you go, the same fire that refined you will ignite hope in others who thought they could not make it through. There comes a moment in every journey when the final push arrives. The climb has been long, the path steep, the storms relentless, but the summit is finally within reach. You can almost feel the shift in the air, the nearness of breakthrough. This is where you are now. The last stretch is never the easiest, but it is always the most important. The Apostle Paul wrote in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 24, "Do you not know that, in a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize." Light. This verse does not mean the crown belongs to only one. It means you must run with focus, with passion, with the kind of intensity that refuses to quit before the finish line. You are not running for survival anymore. You are running for victory. Think of a runner nearing the end of a marathon. Exhaustion weighs heavy, but the roar of the crowd grows louder. Every step forward is an act of courage, a declaration that the finish is worth more than the pain. That runner's heart is your heart. You have endured the long road, and now heaven cheers you on for the final stretch. And here, I want to pause and invite you gently. When you like, share, and subscribe. It is more than just digital action. It is like adding your voice to that cheering crowd. Every click becomes a clap. Every share becomes a shout. Every subscription becomes another heartbeat of encouragement. It is also like striking a bell in a quiet valley. The sound does not stay with you alone. It echoes outward, awakening others, still asleep in the shadows. Or like throwing a pebble into a calm lake, small at first. But the ripples stretch farther than you can see. And if you feel drawn to something deeper, Consider this. When you comment, it is like carving your name into the stone path of the mountain. Long after the moment passes, your words remain as a marker, testifying, I was here. I chose faith. I stood strong. It is also like planting a flag on a mountaintop. It signals to others that the climb is possible. Now, let me speak of generosity, not as demand, but as beauty. When you donate, it is like placing water jars along the path for weary travelers. You may never meet them, never know their names, but your offering refreshes their journey. To you, it may be a cup. To them, it becomes life. It is also like placing another brick on a bridge. Each brick may look small by itself, but together they form the path that carries countless souls safely across the waters of despair. Or imagine adding another log to a fire. What you give becomes warmth for many gathered in the cold night. Think of lanterns glowing in a dark valley. Each one needs oil to keep burning. Without it, the flame flickers out. But when oil is poured in, the light shines longer, guiding more travelers home. Your donation is that oil. It keeps the flame alive so others can find their way. Not forced, not demanded, but freely given. Like pouring from an overflowing cup, no act is too small. One drop of rain awakens a seed. One brick builds a bridge. One whisper encourages a heart about to break. That is the power of your support, whether through a like, a comment, a subscription, or a donation. Each one becomes a part of the final push, carrying the mission further than it could go alone. There was once a woman who believed her contribution was too small to matter, yet one day she gave, quietly, without expectation. Years later, she discovered her seed had grown into a tree that sheltered many. She realized then that generosity is not about size, it is about the spirit behind it. What felt small to her was monumental to others. So hear this as an invitation, not a demand. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and if you feel led, give. Each act is a metaphor of love. Each choice a reflection of grace. None of it is required. All of it is beautiful. Think of a symphony. One violin may seem soft, but together with others, it creates music that moves hearts and heals souls. Your action, whatever it is, becomes part of that symphony. You may never hear every note it plays, but heaven does. Chosen one, you are in the final push. The crown is closer than you think. Let your actions, your words, your generosity, your willingness become the final stride that carries you into the fullness of what God has prepared. Not forced, not demanded, but chosen. And that is what makes it glorious. There are seasons when glory feels distant, hidden behind clouds of pain and struggle. Yet the truth is, glory has always been moving toward you. It does not wait until your life is perfect. It breaks into your imperfections, shining through cracks and scars. You may not see it fully yet, but heaven is already weaving restoration into your story. The Apostle Peter reminds us in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong." Notice the promise. It is not conditional on your perfection, but on God's grace. You may have suffered, yes, but suffering is not the conclusion. Restoration is, strength is, glory is. What you endured is giving way to what you are about to receive. Think of a tapestry. On the backside, threads seem tangled, messy, without order. Yet when you turn it around, a beautiful picture is revealed. That is your life right now. You may have been staring at the backside of the weave, questioning why it looked chaotic, but heaven sees the front, the finished image of beauty. Soon, you will see it too. There was once a man who lost almost everything: career, relationships, stability. For years, his life looked like ruins. But in time, opportunities returned, new connections formed, and purpose re-emerged stronger than before. When asked how he endured, he said, "What I thought was my end was only the ground where God planted my future." His ruins became the foundation of glory. Perhaps you feel as though parts of your story have been ruined too. But ruins are not wasted. They are often the very stones God uses to rebuild stronger walls. What looked like loss was preparation for restoration. What looked like the end is the soil of new beginnings. Think of a seed buried in the ground. For a season, it seems lost, hidden, and forgotten. Yet underground, life is stirring. Roots are spreading, and at the appointed time, green shoots break through. Your life is that seed. What has been buried will rise again in glory. Even the scars you carry have purpose. Scars are not signs of weakness, they are signs of healing. They testify that pain did not destroy you. And now, those scars reflect light, becoming the very proof that you can survive and shine. Glory does not erase scars, it transforms them into testimonies. There was once a woman who endured years of rejection. Her wounds cut deep, but over time, healing came. When she spoke to others about her journey, her scars gave her words authority. People listened, not because she spoke perfectly, but because she spoke as one who had been through the fire and emerged whole. Her scars became her crown. So, understand this. The glory coming over your life is not shallow, not temporary, not dependent on applause. It is weighty, eternal, and rooted in God's promise. It will not only restore what was lost, but will exceed it. Where you saw ashes, heaven sees beauty. Where you saw defeat, heaven declares victory. Chosen one, your story is not ending in shadows. Glory is rising. Restoration is near. And when it comes, it will be clear that every tear, every battle, every scar was the path leading you here to strength, to peace, to the fullness of God's glory revealed in you. Glory does not arrive quietly. It arrives like dawn breaking after the longest night. At first, the horizon glows faintly, barely noticeable. But soon, light floods the sky, and darkness retreats without argument. That is how God's restoration will unfold in your life slowly, at first, then suddenly unstoppable. Think of rivers after a drought. The land cracks, the soil thirsts, and people wonder if water will ever flow again. Then, rain begins to fall. Trickles become streams. Streams become rivers. And life bursts forth where death once seemed final. This is the image of what is coming to you: dryness, giving way to overflow. Even your relationships, your dreams, and your inner strength will be touched by this flood. What was broken will be healed. What was silent will sing again. And what was weak will stand firm. God's glory does not only restore, it multiplies. So lift your eyes. You are not stepping into an ending, but into a beginning. The weight you carried was preparation for the weight of glory you are about to wear. And when it rests on you, the world will see not just survival, but the brilliance of God shining through your life. From the beginning, the mark of being chosen has never been about ease. It has always been about endurance. To be chosen is to walk paths that others avoid, to carry weights that others cannot, to stand when others fall. And yet, through every storm, through every trial, through every shadow, you have remained. This is what it means to be among the chosen. Not that life is simple, but that nothing can erase the seal of destiny written over your life. The writer of Hebrews declares in chapter 12, verse 1, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." Light, this race is not a sprint, it is a marathon, and you have been running it faithfully, even when your legs ached, even when the path seemed endless. The perseverance inside you is proof that heaven's hand has never left you. Think of a lighthouse standing against waves that crash endlessly against it. The storms come, the winds howl, but the light keeps shining. Ships may be lost without it, but the lighthouse endures not for itself, but for those who need direction. That is who you are. Your endurance has not been only for you. It has been a beacon for others who might have given up without your light. There was once a man who quietly served for years, unnoticed and uncelebrated. He thought his efforts did not matter, that perhaps his faithfulness was wasted. But one day, someone told him, "I only kept going because I saw you didn't give up." In that moment, he realized his unseen endurance was not unseen at all. It had become the lifeline for another. This is the legacy of the chosen. You may never fully know the lives you touched, the hearts you lifted, the souls you steadied, but eternity records what earth overlooks. Every step of faith, every moment of resilience, every whispered prayer is written into a story that does not fade. Think of an ancient tree in the middle of a field. Generations come and go. Children play under its shade. Travelers rest against its trunk. Storms rage around it, but the tree remains. Its roots are deep, its branches strong, and its presence steady. That is what you are becoming. You are not fleeting grass that withers. You are the tree that stands. Perhaps you have doubted this. Perhaps you have wondered if your scars disqualified you, if your failures erased your mark. But hear this clearly: nothing can undo what heaven has decreed. The seal of God is stronger than any stumble, deeper than any wound, wider than any detour. If you were chosen, you remain chosen. There was once a woman who nearly abandoned her faith. Life had cut her deeply, and she questioned whether she belonged to God at all. But slowly, through gentle reminders, she realized that even in her rebellion, the call remained. Like a melody she could not silence, destiny kept singing over her life. She returned, not as one forgotten, but as one never abandoned. This is the truth. The chosen stand forever, not because of their own strength, but because of the one who chose them. Mountains may crumble, seas may roar, Kingdoms may rise and fall, but the mark of God endures. What he has written cannot be erased. Think of gold buried underground. Time cannot destroy it. Fire cannot consume it. Water cannot dissolve it. It remains. That is your calling. It remains. Seasons may shift. People may change. Circumstances may shake. But your identity as chosen is untouchable. So lift your head high, not in pride, but in recognition of the truth. You are chosen, and nothing can change that. You have been sealed. You have been refined. You have been prepared. And you will endure. Chosen one. This is your legacy, unshakable, unmovable, inerasable. The chosen do not fade. The chosen stand forever. Even when the world forgets, heaven remembers. Your name is etched into eternal records, not written in pencil that can be erased, but carved into stone that cannot be broken. Your journey has proven this. Storms may bruise you, but they cannot uproot you. Fire may refine you, but it cannot consume you. You are marked to last. So walk with quiet strength. Stand with steady courage. For your destiny is not fragile. It is eternal. And the world will one day see what heaven has always known. The chosen ones stand forever. Chosen one. We have walked together through valleys of pain, mountains of endurance, and rivers of grace. Now the journey brings us here to the closing of this message, but not the closing of your story. What lies ahead is brighter than what is behind. You are standing on the threshold of a new chapter, carrying everything refined, purified, and strengthened within you. And now, I want to speak to you with gentleness. When you like, share, and subscribe, it is not just support for a message, it is like passing a torch forward. One flame ignites another, and together, they create a fire that lights the path for those still walking in darkness. It is also like ringing a bell on a mountain. The sound echoes far beyond you, reaching valleys you cannot see. When you comment, it is like leaving a footprint on a trail. Long after you move forward, someone else will see it and know, I am not alone on this path. Your words can become markers of courage for those who come after you. It is also like placing a candle in a window. It may look small, but to someone lost in the dark, it is a sign of home. When you donate, it is like pouring water into a stream that runs through dry land. That stream does not stay with you. It flows outward, nourishing lives you may never see. It is also like planting an olive tree slow to grow, but its shade and fruit bless generations you may never meet. Your giving is never wasted. It becomes sustenance for someone else's journey. A quiet act of love that reaches farther than you can imagine. Every action you take is more than just digital. It is prophetic. It declares, I believe in light. I believe in hope. I believe this mission must continue. None of it is demanded. All of it is beautiful. So as we close, remember this: your story is not ending. It is unfolding. Carry your light boldly, knowing you are chosen, and let every act of faith, big or small, become part of the fire that keeps this world burning with hope.